When Carson Wentz was traded to the Commanders, as a Washington fan, I disliked the decision, but the excitement was still there. I had to make sure I was there in person for the opener against the Jaguars. It was a big game. New name, new quarterback. It was Doug Peterson's first game as a Jags coach, and it turned out to be a pretty good game, including Carson Wentz himself throwing for 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Wentz was drafted by Philadelphia in 2016, and that was the year Doug Peterson was hired as a head coach in Philly as well. Wentz had a pretty good rookie season, throwing for 3,782 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. I think his second season was definitely his best season, throwing for 3,292 yards, but had 33 touchdowns and was picked off only 7 times. That was also the year Philly won the Super Bowl, but I don't think the credit will go to Carson Wentz for that win or even that season. In the 2018 season, he ended up only playing 11 games, but still ended up throwing over 3,000 yards with 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, as well as in the 2019 season, he threw for over 4,000 yards. The 2020 season was a little bit different. In that offseason, they ended up drafting a new quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Also, that ended up being Doug Peterson's last season as an Eagle. They also went to hire a new head coach, Nick Sirianni, in early 2021, as well as they traded Carson Wentz to the Colts. He played 1 season there and then was traded to the Commanders. Here's the thing, on the stat sheet, everything looks good, but when you look at the film tape, Carson Wentz looks like a backup quarterback. He did fracture his finger on a Thursday night game against the Bears this season, in a very awful game. It was sad to watch, but Washington won by 5. Carson Wentz ended up missing a few weeks while Taylor Heinicke was the backup and kinda turned the season around for the Commanders. But once Carson was healthy, Ron Rivera made a decision to start Wentz in a game that mattered for Washington. All they had to do was win and they still would have had a chance for a playoff spot. That was week 17 against the Browns. Carson Wentz was awful. He was picked off 3 times, and the 1 touchdown that Washington had was a QB sneak by Carson Wentz. I truly believe that was Carson's last football game as a starter. I could be wrong, but I know he's not going to be in Washington when next season comes around. The Commanders just hired a new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, who just won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs and has been with them for some time. I'm very hyped for this new hire. We might finally have a quarterback, Sam Howell, who entered the offseason as QB1. He got to start the last game of the season and actually looked good. I like what I saw. Still a long way to go, but Washington does need to fix up that offensive line, and I think with the weapons around like Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel, and now with a promising OC, I feel like this might be it. On top, we can't forget that owner Dan Snyder is going to be selling the Commanders. Hopefully that will happen soon. It's going to be a very interesting offseason in Washington. I'm just very glad that Carson Wentz is done with the Commanders and he gets to move on. They are teams that do need a backup quarterback, even a starter. I mean, he could end up being the next Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I think arguably you can say that Carson Wentz's career is over as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Bitch, we some stars, pull up in foreign cars.